Hello everyone, my name is Haley Miller, and for this project I chose the dataset on missed medical appointments. So the major issue is that about 30% of appointments are missed every year in the US, and this leads to a loss of around $150 billion each year. But now the question is, why are patients failing to attend their appointments? Why are 30% of them missing their appointments every year? There were some clues in the data set. The data set had information about whether patients had hypertension, they were dealing with alcoholism, or handicaps, also scholarships. And just to clarify with this, the scholarship indicated a low-income household, and the scholarship was a gift from the government. So it does indicate low-income households. Now, other considerations for recent literature did match up with this a little bit. There was a discussion of the cost of appointments and the demographics, which ties into the low-income households. Also, apprehension and fear of appointments, as well as transportation. Now, I was curious about the transportation one just because I thought it might tie into a patient being handicapped. Would they be able to make their appointment, especially if they had multiple handicaps, not just one? But I also looked into a study regarding this where a clinic had decided to offer a free ride-sharing experience with Lyft. I guess they partnered with them, and they found that patients were unwilling to use it, and it did not decrease the number of missed medical appointments. So what were the findings? I was surprised by this, but I did run a little bit of analysis on if someone had multiple handicaps. So if they had 2 or more handicaps, were they more likely to miss an appointment? It didn't even crack my top 4. That actual data option was about 5th place. I believe they had statistics of about 17% of their appointments were missed. But low-income households and patients who are alcoholic, those are my top 2, with the low-income household having about 23.74% of their appointments missed. So we can recommend some changes on maybe how to address this issue and how to get patients to make their appointments on time and stick with their appointments on time. One of the methods is perhaps to reward good behavior rather than punishing poor behavior. So instead of fining them for missing an appointment, you can offer them a small discount for when they actually make it on time. You want that positive experience with your patients. Also, open access scheduling. This would be a huge benefit to those who maybe identify as alcoholic. They can come in and schedule an appointment when they're having a good day, when they're maybe not hungover, or they're not forgetting about previous appointments that they've made. They can come in that very day. Also, you can allow patients to schedule their own appointments online at home, and that way they have the schedule out in front of them, and they're not in a rush in the office trying to just pick a day, and not scheduling 3 months in advance when they've completely forgotten about it. Also, be clear with the cost of treatment from the get-go. Discuss payment options with those who are of low income. That may come into factor with when they want to schedule their appointments or if they can schedule their appointments. So some of the strengths and weaknesses to these recommendations is that the same day scheduling will definitely reduce the number of missed appointments, especially with the alcoholic patients who really can't plan ahead because they may be hungover that day. Or for the impoverished patients who may not have the money at that time. And this way they can come in when they're ready and when they have the money in order to be able to pay for that treatment. You can also reward your patients, and it does create a positive experience. Some weaknesses, though, is that adjusting to an open access schedule, it will have a little bit of time and money put into it. You'll definitely see a little bit of a loss in the appointments that are being scheduled at first. And there will be more open appointments at first, but eventually it does even out. Also, the cost of the appointments in general for impoverished patients aren't approved upon in this. But that's an issue largely with healthcare as a whole, and patients maybe not having insurance at that time. But in this case, at least, they can know the cost ahead of time, and they can know whether or not they can pursue with the treatment. And thank you so much. That is my presentation, and here are my references. Have a pleasant day.